It's nothing like doing some math at Burger King. Here's a math problem. Add 3/4 plus 1/6. So adding fractions is notoriously a little difficult because you have to find a least common denominator. So we have to change these fractions to have the same denominator. So one way to do that is to prime factor 4. So if you break 4 into components that multiply to be 4, 2 times 2 is 4, and they're both prime numbers. 6 is 2 times 3, and those are both prime numbers. So to find the least common denominator, you look at each row. This is row 1, this is row 2, and you ask this question. What's the most number of times each factor occurs in any given row? So notice I have the factor 2, and it occurs twice in this row, but only once in that row. So it occurs, the most number of times it occurs in any row is twice. So I write the 2 down twice here. Notice the other factor is 3, and the most number of times it occurs is just 1 time. So I just write that down 1 time. When you multiply this out, you get 12. So 12 is the least common denominator. So if you come up here and underneath here you write these fractions, instead of 3/4 and 1/6, we're going to write them as 12s. So 4 divides into 12 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/4 is equivalent to 9 twelves. 6 divides into 12 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. So 1/6 is the same thing as 2 twelves. And so now that I have a common denominator of 12, I can add 9 and 2 and get 11. So 3/4 plus 1/6 is 11 twelves. So that's the thing about adding and subtracting fractions, is you can't do it if the denominators aren't the same. So a lot of people want to try to add straight across the top and straight across the bottom, and that doesn't actually work. Now, an alternative way of thinking about that is to think about it this way. You could actually just look at this and try to get these to be the same. So notice if I multiply this by 3/3 over here, and I multiplied this by 2/2 over here, these would both be 12. So this is 9 twelves, and this is 2 twelves, and that gives me 11 twelves. Some people like to do it that way. So that works pretty well, but a lot of times in pre-algebra and algebra, they're making you do these prime factoring trees, or prime factoring also, to get the LCD. So anyway, 2 thoughts there on adding fractions. Ponder that. Either way, we had to find a least common denominator.